Ripple just flipped a switch that changes everything about what can take place on the XRP ledger. We're talking about activating the permission DEX for the first time. Now, what's crazy is most people in the XRP community don't even know what a DEX is, decentralized exchange. And holders of XRP don't even know that we had the first DEX going back all the way to 2012 when XRP Ledger was first created. But this has been over a decade in the making the XRP Ledger a robust network, efficient, cheap, and ready to be used for institutions across the world. Now we're going live. And we're going to break down what this recent further enhancement of the XRP Ledger means with the permission DEX amendment going live, and then now finally seeing an institution show up to use it. That's right, folks. Let's break it down here in today's update. We got big money coming into the crypto space with an additional $300 million investment. This one relates to Canton. We'll talk about that. But real quick, I want to play this clip. Senator Tim Scott showing up on Maria in the morning here on Fox Business this morning, commenting about the $30 trillion opportunity and the amount of money in companies and investment capital that's coming back to the United States because of the Clarity Act. Let's run it.
And I want to get your take about that. How much do you believe will come into the U.S. once we do have the Clarity Act in place? I mean, how significant is the business if, in fact, those companies don't go offshore?
Some of us estimated that the actual sector itself, the industry, is worth about $3 trillion now. I think it's going to $30 trillion in the next several years. The truth.
And this follows up on a statement from Patrick Witt at the Ripple Swell conference in New York last year. I remember him saying on stage, I was in the room, listening to these guys speak on stage. It was quite an experience. And he predicted that the crypto market cap was going to 10 trillion, right? And now you're seeing, you got Patrick Witt saying we're going to 10 trillion market cap for crypto. Senator Tim Scott saying that we're going to 30 trillion. But we got to get this Clarity Act passed. And unfortunately, I read through the whole transcript and watched this video. There was no mention of timing. We're still waiting for the Senate floor vote. And this morning, Chairman Tim Scott is leading a Senate banking hearing on AI. And I did tune in for a second to listen to Elizabeth Warren cry for a little bit, and then I tuned out. But, the point being, this is not crypto YouTuber. This is not speculator. This is not Joe Blow saying that we're going to, 10 and $30 trillion market cap for digital assets. This is White House Working Group. I forget the exact title of Patrick Witt. My apologies, Patrick. But then Senator Tim Scott and others, right? This is senators and politicians talking about the $30 trillion opportunity. And so we're watching right now with the crypto market. Let's take a look at it. XRP did catch a bounce yesterday. We ran all the way up to $1.18 on Monday. I'm on the 1 hour chart right here, right? But then we did break back down, and we made it all the way down to $1.08 yesterday. Like I said, we caught a bounce coming into the early hours here Thursday morning, and we did run back up to $1.12 for XRP, and we're at $1.10 as I record this update. But we did catch some support at $1.08. Watching this closely to see if we will get that opportunity. One more opportunity for XRP below $1. A bounce up to 63,000 this morning for Bitcoin, but starting to come back down. And basically, we got a rally this morning, early hours, until we got this statement from President Trump that came out. I'm going to go find this real quick because I actually posted this out. This is what I'd been warning about for the past month for you guys that have been tuning in here. We've been explaining that the climax of the conflict is coming, and it looks like President Trump confirmed it this morning. So we were getting a market rally, relief rally bounce until this statement was made. I said, I've been warning about this for the past month. Cash and buy orders were ready for this. We already filled a lot of our buy orders, actually. And I have expected my oil long to be much further in profit, but someone is doing a good job for now of keeping oil under $100. So President Trump comes out this morning and says the United States will be hitting Iran, whose Navy, Air Force, radar, anti-aircraft, and all other forms of defense, together with most of its offensive capability, are gone. Very hard tonight. So he already said yesterday we were going to hit him hard. Last night we did. And then they said that we were done. And then this morning, right before the market opens up, and notice the flip here. See, it went from President Trump saying, peace deal, best deal ever. All parties are going to, get what they want. It's going to be the best thing ever, or at least we're going to get what we want. To now, we're about to hammer them. Now, I got some pushback in my comments when I was saying this for the past month that climax of the conflict was coming. We weren't going to get a peace deal until we hammered Iran further, until we blew that door wide open, or some of the terms that I used. Those were just, metaphors to explain, further escalation that I was anticipating. I didn't think that we had a deal ready to be signed. And knowing Trump, reading The Art of the Deal, understanding the fog of the war, maturing is realizing that you're not going to get the battle plans from the president of the United States. And you have to be able to read between the lines. And, I think that we saw this one coming. And for many of our community, it brings me joy to know, okay, cool, you predicted what was going to happen. That's not the important part. The important part is all the community feedback that we have of people that were filling their bags up at $1.05 XRP, picking up H-bar under 8 cents, picking up a lot of good utility digital assets at these lower levels because we didn't buy into these bull trap rallies that we got over the past 3 months, the market acting as if a peace deal was actually imminent. We knew that wasn't going to be the case. And so not happy about it. I've been praying for peace, but also mature enough to understand the hammer was coming. So anyways, back into crypto. We'll see how that situation plays out. But for now, the money continues to pour in. And this is the big difference. Retail, for the most part, has left. Institutions continue to dump as much money as possible into this crypto market. A16Z Crypto leads $355 million raise for Canton developer digital asset. And that's the lead developer on the Canton network, main company there. And, this just shows you the appetite. $300 million raise for, Canton developer digital asset. There is no lack of interest from the institutions in this space. There's only a lack of interest from retail. Somebody's on the wrong side of that trade. I'll let you guys comment to finish that off. But this is what we have been talking about right here. This is the XRP Ledger DEX being activated. This changes everything because what we're looking at right here is Ripple and Bitso expanding their long-standing payments partnership on the XRP Ledger DEX, but specifically that amendment that was passed, what was it, earlier this year or late last year, for permissioned DEX. Now, permissioned DEX is an amendment that allows institutions or anybody to come onto the XRP ledger and to create a permissioned environment where they don't have to worry about bad actors being involved in that liquidity pool that they're creating, right? Institutions, banks, they can't come on an open source permission network and be in a liquidity pool with a terrorist entity, with bad actors on the other side, with sanctioned entities on the other side. You can't have it. And so to, allow permissioned environments, we pass the permission DEX for the XRP ledger. This is the first partnership that goes live with the permission DEX. This is so massive. So Bitso is going to bring their regulated Mexican peso-backed stablecoin, MXNB, will be issued on the XRP ledger and integrated into Ripple's payments on the DEX infrastructure. This is not in a private chain. This is not in a side chain. On the XRP ledger that me and you use, the same one. These are flows of liquidity that are being brought to the XRP ledger through Ripple and their strategic partners, supporting enterprise stablecoin settlement across Latin America. And this is a huge corridor between Mexico and the United States of America. Let's expand further on what this actually does. MXNB support on the XRP ledger's permission DEX infrastructure expands enterprise-grade settlement capabilities across one of the world's largest cross-border corridors. So we have Ripple and Bitso, long-standing partners, and as part of the collaboration, Bitso's regulated MX-backed stablecoin MXNB will be issued on the XRP ledger and integrated into Ripple's evolving payments on decentralized exchange infrastructure. So this is very important, and so you have all this FUD that Ripple Payments, RippleNet, Ripple, all these Ripple payment solutions don't use the XRP ledger. They're clarifying for everybody back home that's still trying to get this through their head that yes, they are bringing these flows of liquidity to the same XRP ledger that me and you use, the same decentralized exchange that me and you have access to. They're just building it one layer above in a permissioned pool of liquidity on top of that XRP ledger DEX. So you get all the benefits of the XRP ledger DEX, but it's in a permissioned environment where you don't have to worry about working and building liquidity with bad actors. Together with RLUSD, Ripple's enterprise-grade USD stablecoin, MXB will support more efficient liquidity and settlement flows for enterprise cross-border payments across the U.S.-Mexico corridor. Ripple and Bitso have partnered for years to support payment infrastructure across key Latin American corridors, including MXN and COP payout flows. The expansion into XRPL and payments on DEX marks the next phase of the relationship, bringing localized stablecoin settlement infrastructure to one of the world's most important remittance and cross-border payment markets. MXNB will be integrated into XRP Ledger's permission DEX, designed to support regulated financial activity by enabling verified counterparties to access on-chain liquidity and settlement infrastructure in a more compliance-focused and operationally efficient environment. Ripple and Bitso have spent years building payment infrastructure that operates at real-world scale across Latin America, said Silvio Pagada, Ripple's managing director of Latin America. By bringing together RLUSD and MXNB on the XRP Ledger permission DEX, we're helping create regulated on-chain liquidity infrastructure purpose-built for enterprise cross-border payments. This is the next evolution of how value moves between dollars and pesos. The collaboration also reflects Ripple's broader strategy to connect traditional payment infrastructure with digital asset liquidity in ways that are operationally practical for financial institutions and enterprise payment providers. You don't get banks and institutions here on the ledger if it doesn't make sense. And this is something that David talked about years ago, is he said, we can't force people on the XRP ledger when it doesn't make sense. Right? It has to be advantageous to that bank or institution to want to come to the XRP ledger, to want to use XRP, right? And now you're seeing that use case. Now you're seeing where it makes sense. Now you're seeing the advantages. And now you're seeing how they're doing it on the XRP ledger in a regulated and compliant way. Now, for Bitso, the integration positions MXNB as part of the growing category of locally native stablecoin infrastructure designed for real-world payments and settlement use cases in Latin America. MXNB was built for ground up for enterprise settlement, said Ben Reed, head of stablecoins at Bitso Business. Regulated Peso native and designed for the operational demands of institutional cross-border payments. Its integration into Ripple's permission DEX infrastructure on the U.S.-Mexico corridor gives institutional counterparties something new: access to peso-denominated liquidity on-chain, with the compliance certainty and settlement efficiency that enterprise use cases require. This is the first domino to fall, right? This is the first example of Ripple and a partner using the permission DEX. Right? So some of these amendments we talked about, we got all excited about. We laid out the story about how this was going to play out last year when they were considering passing it, right? But because it didn't pump XRP price, because we didn't see an immediate impact, right? Because people still don't know what the DEX is, for crying out loud, on the XRP ledger. It's one of our biggest advantages, and a lot of XRP holders don't even know what it is. And so this is why we try to break down these amendments, the technical aspect of this. I try to synthesize all this information so that the average person can understand, what does this impact the average XRP holder, right? How does this impact my bag of XRP that I'm holding on to and that I want to go to $1,000? If you want XRP to go to $1,000, this is what you want to see. Does it relate to XRP price going up at all today? No, that's not how this works. It's a long drawn out plan, and it eventually does lead to XRP going to higher prices, but it all comes back to real utility, real adoption, and real demand for the asset. Right? As XRP is used in these flows, more XRP gets locked up, more XRP gets burned. It drives scarcity to XRP, it drives demand for XRP, and this is what leads to those astronomical prices. Right? But sometimes it's the not so sexy, the technical amendments to the XRP ledger that you might, doesn't jump out at you as, oh, this is the big flip of the switch. But just like Brad Garlinghouse said, you flip all these little switches, and eventually, right, we're talking about trillions of dollars of liquidity flowing on chain. You flip all these switches, and eventually you're talking about tens of trillions of tokenized assets coming on chain. And that's the path that we're heading down. And this is for the first time, real use of the permission DEX on the XRP ledger. And this is another unique advantage that the XRP ledger has over many other chains that are completely open and don't have any permissioned environments. Or you get the completely permissioned environments like JPMorgan coin that don't have the same benefits and efficiency of an XRP ledger. This is where XRP, once again, stands apart from the rest. So you guys let me know what you think. Are we going to see some more integrations of the permission DEX here soon? It looks like this is going to be the first, but not the last. Much more on the way. What does it mean for XRP? That number's going up, not today, but you better believe it's going to be going up here soon. Clarity Act, inflows, it's all happening. And the liquidity coming on chain, it's a beautiful thing to see. Let the flows of liquidity come in. With that being said, I'm going to wrap up here. I'll be back live tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern, so come on back for the live show, full market update with Q&A. We do it for you guys. We do it for the community. So help us out by liking this video, sharing it out far and wide, and we'll see you back live tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern for the party. God bless. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.